Hi, how's it going? Y'all having a good time? Yeah.
So welcome to London, RJ. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, what's it like to come out to a support like this, just from from Breaking Bad and seeing the massive level of support you get for it?
It's amazing, when working in this industry, you don't always, especially behind the camera and in front of the camera, you don't really get to see your audience, you don't get to see your fan base, and it's not like theater and where you know immediately how people respond and how people see the show. So when you're able to come to events like this and you get to see the reaction of the people and how they admire the work and how they really enjoy it and we're able to go on a journey, it's really a pleasure and an honor to be able to do that. And it's such a pleasure to be able to meet y'all today, and we had such a fun time doing this. And I've done an MCM before up in Birmingham, and it was just so much fun. And I met some really awesome people that work, and you included. And
thank you.
And it's just when you get the opportunity to see people that you actually like to see, it makes a world of difference. So.
And it's kind of Breaking Bad just exploded and became this worldwide phenomenon that it now is. When did you first kind of get a realization that happened? Because you say you live in a production bubble, so when you're filming, you may not necessarily know.
Well, I think the first time we really realized what the show was and what it was actually at a convention over in San Diego Comic Con, which was just too much. It was just insanity. This is more my size and what I like to see. But we had this room that we were in, and that we walked out and the fans were just insane, and the whole stage was vibrating because of people cheering, and it was this moment where it was like, so this is what it feels like to be a rock star. It's that rock star moment where you're like, oh my God, this is insanity, and you love every minute of it.
And for you, Breaking Bad it's a very intense show. It's got very kind of controversial subject matter and parts as well. Were there any kind of times when you were filming it you thought, wow, this is pushing it a bit?
No, at all. I actually thought they could have done more. I felt that for the most part of the content that we were doing and what we were showing is we were showing actuality of what the effects are. And actually, I think we could have actually done more to show that the world that we were living in on Breaking Bad was not a good world. It was not a safe world. It was not a world that was happy. It was a corrosive life that Walter White was living. And every moment that I saw when they would finally get darker and darker, I was like, yes. Because I wanted it to be really bad. I wanted to, like, by the end of it, everyone's dying, the baby's dead. I'm like, I wanted a very brutal death scene, actually. I said, if you're going to kill me, make sure it's horrible and painful. I want to suffer as a character to die, so the audience can suffer as well. And sadly, I may have not got my death scene, depending on if y'all have finished the show or not. If y'all have finished the show, you know. But if y'all haven't, I die very painfully. But I felt that we were trying to be honest and bringing a truth, which we need in television. We need an honest truth. We need realism, and that's, for me as a viewer, when I watch, that's what I want. I want honesty. I want realism. I want to see true characters on television, and Breaking Bad brought true characters. These were characters, yes, and we played them, but at the same time, the situations that they were in, to one degree or another, were real situations. We all felt the effects of needing to provide for our family. We all felt the effects of needing to take care of each other, to do what is necessary to grow and to live our life the way we want to. And a lot of times we either sit back and we are the old Walter White, or we become our new Heisenberg. And I feel that there is times in our life where we have these pivotal moments and we have to evolve, and that's what I feel we were able to do.
And so if you would like to ask questions, don't forget the question mic is off to the side there. Please feel free to stand behind it and ask a question?
Don't be afraid. I'm not allowed to leave the stage. As soon as I sat down, they chained chained my leg to the chair. So
it's a magnetic chain. It shoots out. It's fine. You're fine.
Uh-huh.
But for you, I mean, it must be because it's as we say, subject matter is very dark. You wanted it even darker, but but what's that like once you finish shooting? How do you get out of that headspace?
I think the thing is when you're in and you're doing heavy scenes and you are emotionally exhausted, you did get these ideas and these times where you're just like, I cannot go anymore.
Yeah.
And I think we all have these moments. And when you leave set, you just have to leave that on set. I try not to take my character home. And if you do and you start taking your character home and you start living in the mindset of your character, essentially we are all parts of what we play. It's parts of our mind. It's dark corners of our mind. It's things that we pull out of ourselves to create this individual that is an individual of its own and not an entity of us. But if you start taking it home, it will engulf you. And when you're playing dark characters and you're playing a character that is depressed and that is alone in a sense, it really will wear on you. But the thing is you can't take it home. It's not healthy. And I was lucky enough, I learned that to just leave it on set, man. Just walk away from it and live my own independent life from work. And I try to separate my work and my real life to certain degrees. I try to keep it at odds be. And when you leave a show like Breaking Bad, it's really hard because you miss the people that you were working with. You miss what you were doing. It's like it's like having a job your whole life. And it was my whole life at the time. I was only 13 turning 14 when I started the show, 20 turning 21 when I finished the show entirely. So at the time, if you think about it, that was my whole life. Like half of my life was growing up on that. Just think of half your life, you having a job, and then you get laid off. That's essentially what happens when you're on one of these shows. And it is hard to recover from that. But the thing is I don't try. This business is comprised of many businesses, many art forms, and I try to dabble in each of these art forms. So when I leave and I go, I push on to the next job. I push on to whatever I'm doing next, and I go and I always try to reinvent and grow in a different direction. So I'm always learning and never becoming stagnant.
And do you find that kind of drive was probably one of the reasons that helped you when you left Breaking Bad? Because you've gone on, you've done other things such as DJing now, you're experimenting in that. Do you think that's because you've got this drive to do that?
I mean, possibly. I don't really think of it as drive. I'm one of those people, if I don't work, I start building things. And not very well. So I start painting and I start doing things on my wall, and I always have to keep going. And if I stay in one place for too long, it definitely eats at me. And I'm like, okay, what's the next thing? Where do we have to go? What do we have to do? What do we have to continue to move forward with? And I feel more people in this world should have that mentality, because I don't live in a realm of can't. I live in a realm of if I want it, I will do it. And this is the thing: if you believe you can't do something, if you truly believe you can't do it, you won't be able to do it. If you change your mindset and you allow yourself to believe that you will be able to do this, that you're going to do this, that you will do it to the best of your abilities. Now, keep in mind, you might fail. It's not everything I do is not a success. That's why you only hear about Breaking Bad. But the thing is, if you never try, you never learn, and you never grow. And I always keep pushing that, and I never allow myself to believe I can't do something. I choose to know I can do it, and I will do that to the best of my ability, and I will grow with it, and I will learn from it, and keep driving into a new realm of what I want to do.
And you mentioned learning from things you do. What did you learn and take away from Breaking Bad then, do you think?
Sorry, what was that last part?
What did you learn from taking away from Breaking Bad?
There was a number of things I learned. I learned don't block lighting. Get out and stay. It's if you're shadowing someone's face, that means that you need to move. I learned how to be a part of a set, a part of a crew, what I need to do for morality of sets and being in that realm. I learned what it's like to be an ensemble character, and I learned from each of the actors the different traits and different ways of processing characters and how we get to that level and what we need to do in a scene to get to that emotional level to grow for the character itself, not so much for you, but to grow where the character needs to grow and to hold back where the character needs to hold back on, and the evolution of a character and the importance of that evolution. Because in life, we all evolve. We all are continuing to change, and some changes are bigger than others, but at the end of it, there's still a root that we have. There's still a trait that we are, and you can never change that, but you can. It can grow in different directions. And I think finding where you grow and finding how you grow for that character is something that's really important.
We've got time for a few questions from the audience, so if you want to stick your hand up, we'll go first to the microphone, and then...
Hello.
How's it going?
Hi, RJ. How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
This is probably a question you get a lot, but I'm kind of curious to know. Do you think Walter was justified in everything that he did?
Yes and no. As in Walter's shoes, yes. Me personally, I would do anything to provide for my family, even if it gets to breaking the law. I mean, that's something, like, even if it's down to that, I will do what is necessary to provide.
Do you think Walt Jr., if he'd found out a little bit sooner, do you think he would have tried to stop it or help?
I don't know. The issue is it goes into, he was doing really hurtful and evil things. He killed around 270-something people, if you include like the plane crash and the people that he killed by his own hand. Like, he killed around 200-something people. But now include the methamphetamine he was making, the amount he was making, and what he was doing and distributing. He destroyed millions of lives. Not just the 200 that he did by himself, but hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. Families were destroyed. Methamphetamine is a horrible and destructive and corrosive drug that changes your mindset and changes who you are. And Walt Heisenberg was an evil person. He was truly an evil person. And even though every villain, I heard this one time, every villain sees themselves as the hero. And then they get knocked back into place. But every villain, I don't care who you are, and I love that mindset, because we all see ourselves as the hero of our own story. But in actuality, where do you fall into that? How do you fall into that? And I think it would have changed if Walt told Jr. about what he was doing before Skylar told Jr. about what he was doing, because it's two vastly different things. If Walt were to get a hold of Jr., he would have manipulated him against his mom. He would have manipulated the situation. He would have used him against him and used him as a pawn, without even really wanting to do it like that. But that's what would have happened. Is he would have been even a worse father, because he would have been manipulating him, and they were manipulating him. But the only truthful and honest person to a degree was Marie, and Marie fought for that, and Hank as well, but they fought for that honesty and trying to get them help, trying to do what was best, trying to help them survive. And Skylar was just caught in a web where she was in a perpetual motion of fear for her family and fear for her child. And that really, I think it was necessary that she told Junior versus Walt or Heisenberg telling Junior, because it really would have changed the dynamic. And Walt Jr. really, if he would sided with his father, really would have lost everything. He would have lost his mother. And at the end of it, he did lose the trust of everyone he loves and everyone he cares about. There is no one that he can trust anymore. So on that depressing note, anyways, yes.
What do you think was the most emotional moment in Breaking Bad, and why?
For me, it was Jane dying. I felt that was fairly emotional, and that was a very pivotal point in Walt's character, from growing from Walter White to Heisenberg, and that was that decision of she is a threat and she needs to die, and that is something that plays with your moral compass, because your moral compass says save her, do what you need, even at the cost of your own life, save this woman. But his compass said she needed to die. She was an anchor and was preventing what he needed done. And I think that was definitely a big pivotal point in Walt and in the show itself.
The thing is, Cranston said himself that scene affected him as a father, but in spite of that, still considers it one of his favorite scenes. Don't you find that curious?
Yes and no. I think when you're doing a scene like that and you're in that moment, I think when you have the opportunity to see something that is a pivotal part of the story, and when you're in the moment and you have that opportunity to that this is an impact. And I think we all have these moments, and I'm sure you can think, everyone in this room can think of a part of your life in a turn where you changed, and you had that moment, and it was a left versus right. Do I go down this path, or do I take another path? And that was that moment. And as an actor, those are the scenes we love, when they're hard, when they're dark, when they push you and drive you into another way of thinking, and drive you into this isn't how I would react, but if I'm this character and I need this out of this, what would I do as that character? And I think it's really so much fun to have those scenes. I love scenes that are hard. The harder the scene for me, the easier it is for me, because I know what I need to do to get to that level. So. Hello?
Hey, RJ.
How's it going?
A couple of questions. So, when you stop filming, how do you watch it for the first time? Do you get given like an exclusive DVD, or do you stream it from Netflix too?
I don't watch Breaking Bad.
Have you never watched it?
No, I don't watch that shit. No, I'm good, man. I've seen the first episode of every season and the last episode of the last season, and it's all right. I don't like hearing myself talk. I don't like seeing myself. And in Breaking Bad, I read the scripts. That counts, right? I mean, people still read. But I don't really, that's not really my thing, and that's not what it's not my type of, not my cup of tea. So.
Oh, my second question was, how many times have you watched it? So I answered that one.
There we go. 0.
Cheers.
No problem. Yeah, I really can't stand like I don't like when I model and stuff. I don't look at any of the photos. Like the photographers are always like, "Hey, look!" I'm like, I don't want to see that. Like, just if do you like it? They're like, "Yeah, we love it." Great. Then that's all I need to know. If y'all like it, y'all are happy with it. Perfect. That means I'm doing my job. I don't need to see anything else. But yes.
Hi, son.
How's it going, Dad?
Just wondering, as a 13-year-old, just starting on the show, and you're doing chemistry at school, were you good?
What are you trying to get at? Yeah, actually, I was really good, man. My best grades in school were chemistry, math, and geometry and trigonometry. I hated all of them. I wasn't. It wasn't really my. I am not what you would call a bookworm. I don't mind reading, but I actually don't like learning from books. I'm more of a hands-on type of person. When I started Breaking Bad from 13 to 18, I had a private teacher who was college level, and she had a biochemistry degree, she had a math degree, and she had an English literature degree. And it was mostly hands-on study with that, and with my schooling and my progress. That's my plane. Sorry, I'm late. I wasn't a big book guy. I like to create. So when I was actually younger, I did do chemical experiments and made things with chemicals, not drugs per se, but other things. And made my own firecrackers. So that's chemistry kind of. But yeah, for the most part, I wasn't necessarily a good student either, though. I was one of those kids that was always somewhat always a couple levels ahead of the teacher themselves. Because I always was like, well, I was that kid that was in class that you remember that would correct the teacher. I'd be like, actually, if you really think about it, this answer's wrong. And they'd be like, it's in the book. I'm like, but it's wrong. And they'd be like, follow the book. I'm like, oh, but it's wrong. And I was that kid. Teachers didn't always like me.
Just one more. With Better Call Saul,
Yes.
have you got your own spin-off series?
I don't. I'm good. I did what I needed to do. I did my job. Apparently I did it well enough that people like it. So I'm good. If they want to do something, I have no problem going back to that world. But as a whole, I really would like to evolve in another direction. Breaking Bad is a role of a lifetime. No matter what I do, no matter where I go, there will always be Breaking Bad in my life. That will not change. That cannot change. It's almost impossible. But that is not what I want to be known for. There's so much more I can do and will do and evolve with that eventually in the next 5 or 10 years, hopefully Breaking Bad will be a distant memory and other work will shadow that in a greater capacity. So,
Yes.
No worries, thank you.
I just wanted to ask, when you were playing the character in Breaking Bad and you had to have crutches all the time and play a character with a disability, was that hard to remember? Were there props that you used to try and make yourself play that part better?
The thing about having the crutches is, and what's really cool is I use every character that I've been able to play. I always have one prop for my character. If it's a piece of clothing, if it's glasses, if it's a crutches or a wheelchair, or whatever it is, I've always been able to have that one prop, and that's what gets me into my character is having that prop and having that with me. And as soon as I grab that thing, I turn into that character. That's what makes my character its character, is because of that one item. With Walter White Jr., when you first saw the character, you saw the crutches first. You didn't see the character. You saw the crutches, and then you saw him. But as the show evolved and as the show grew, you no longer saw the crutches, and then you saw the character itself. That's a very interesting thing, because if we could do that, not just for one show, but for a number of shows, and bring a normalize to what people perceive of disability being abnormal in the media, and what the media brings, and what the media claims disability is, it really doesn't. We can get that mindset out. We can stop thinking in a realm of, it's see the chair first and then the person. No, it's the person first, and then whatever is an extension of that individual. And Breaking Bad was a testament to that, and we were able to grow and utilize that. And more shows should have that type of platform and utilize real characters and real people. And that's in my mind. Walt Jr. was a real person, and he was his own individual, and he carried his own weight in his life. And the crutches helped with that because you saw that, and that helped sell the disability. And all in all, I really did nothing to prepare for that disability. I grew up with cerebral palsy. Yes, I've had it since I was born. I was diagnosed at 3 with it. Does anyone actually know? Feel free to not raise your hand and raise your hand. Does anyone in this room actually know what cerebral palsy is? Okay. For the people that don't know, cerebral palsy occurs mostly at childbirth from lack of oxygen to the brain, damaging certain parts of the brain that affect fine and gross motor skills, hand-eye coordination, spasticity. There's a couple of different types of cerebral palsy, but most common, the one I had, was from childbirth. You can get it in early development of life when you're younger, from anywhere from shaken baby syndrome to being dropped on your head as a child. Even though I already had cerebral palsy, I was probably dropped on my head as a child as well. But that's what it affects, and it's not necessarily a genetic, and it doesn't really affect your cognitive or reasoning skills. The main thing is, think of if your brain did not tell your body what to do, and your body wanted to do whatever it wanted to do. That's kind of how it works, and you have to fight against it, and you use it for what you need, and it's more of a coexist. It's more of a not a co. I'm looking. I can't think of the word, but when you have an entity, it's pretty much like I have a person up here that's thinking a separate thought, while this person here is doing a different action, and the trick is I have to coincide with them. Did anyone ever see Jaeger? The movie Jaeger, where they're in the suits and it's 2 people controlling the one machine? Well, I guess I'm not nerd. But in it's kind of like that. And when it came down to creating Walt Jr., I had years of therapy and years of treatment that I just utilized for that. But as a whole, I just wore the crutches. I used the crutches, and that helped drive the character forward.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time we have today. Please give a massive round of applause to RJ Mitte.
Thank you so much.
And RJ will be signing at the signing booth throughout the weekend, so you can do that and having photos with this fantastic